I'm Lucas from Games Radar, and today I want to tell you about the top 7 scariest moments in otherwise not scary games. You know the feeling when you're playing a Dead Space game or an Amnesia game, you're ready for horror, you're ready for something to jump out at you. But then there are those moments in games where you're playing something, maybe it's rated E, maybe it's mostly a kid's game, maybe you think you know the franchise well enough that it could never scare you. All of a sudden, the developers thought it would be funny to put in a moment that just shakes you to the core. It makes you want to turn the console off, run to your room, and get under the covers and hide there. So let's get the horrifying moments started with number 7.
Pokemon in general is just so lighthearted. You're just walking around Pokeparis, talking to everybody, and they're all really happy, battling each other and eating Pokemon meat skewers. And then you walk into this building, take an elevator up, accidentally get off on the wrong floor, and I'm like, huh, nothing here. And then I try and turn around, there's this chick just appears like that lady from The Grudge. And if she had made that noise, I probably would have shit myself.
Pokemon has a lot of weird stuff just buried in it, from strange descriptions in the Pokedex to just how they deal with like the deadness or not of ghost Pokemon. But this one in Lumia City, like, it's so random, like it's the lack of explanation that really makes it so scary.
You just walk into the room and are completely immobile, and all of a sudden this girl flickers into existence behind you. Holy shit, where'd she come from? And then she just kind of glides away and you never see her again.
Out of nowhere. This is completely random. There's no explanation for it in the game. It is apparently just an apparition that decides to haunt you at this exact moment, and it is truly disturbing.
Wow, that cabin looks so warm and inviting. It's so cold out here. Wait, there's a human banquet on the table?
Oh man, nothing says Merry Christmas like walking into a snow lodge full of dead people. There's like a corpse on the table, one of those torture devices just off in the corner, and a skeleton on the floor. But the thing is, like, from the outside, it looks like such a nice, inviting little lodge, almost like a little gingerbread house you'd make during Christmas time.
I think it's really fitting that Fable 2's most scary moment is like something out of a fairy tale, like Hansel and Gretel style. It's like in fables of old that are trying to warn you, like, just because something looks nice and friendly doesn't really mean it is. Trust no one. That's the lesson I got from it.
Where you'd expect to find a nice, cozy inn, there's now a burnt-out husk of a building with corpses everywhere and torture devices lining the walls. And the worst part is, there's a treasure chest upstairs with a pretty great item in it, the Master Longsword. So it's like you're incentivized to have this jump scare happen to you. Utterly devious. You know that feeling when you're riding a roller coaster and the carts in front of you start screaming and you know something really crazy is about to happen? That's what this is like, except you're watching someone ahead of you have very invasive surgery done to them with no anesthetic.
First off, you're helpless, so you're completely unable to do anything to prevent yourself from getting hurt, and then you get to see what's about to happen to you before it happens. You watch it happening to the guy in front of you, so you know what's about to happen, and it just brings on this wave of horror as you're waiting for it in anticipation.
Really a torture scene, like a lengthy torture scene, and you can't do anything, and you just have to watch it.
And your legs get sawed in half by like this big buzzsaw thing, and you're just like, you're going along with no legs, dudes are poking you, and then all of a sudden you get like new robotic cyborg legs, and you're like, huh, this is pretty neat.
I think for me though, the part that I hate about this is that it's basically what I envision happening every time I have to get surgery. What if the anesthesia doesn't work and I just watch the doctors like cut my leg open or something?
I can't even go to the dentist without the promise of being heavily medicated, so Quake 4, no.
I'm a big fan of the Paper Mario games that are made by Intelligent Systems. And Intelligent Systems is one of like the most established developers within Nintendo, and I think that's why they get to do some really crazy stuff.
Super Paper Mario has one of the freakiest things you've ever seen in a Nintendo game, and that is Mimi. Now, this villainess is a shapeshifter, so, you know, she can make herself look like whatever she wants. She chooses to assume forms to trick you throughout the game, but the worst part comes when she shows her final form.
So there you are, just battling this normal-ish looking lady with pigtails, and then she gets really pissed off, rotates her head like that chick from The Exorcist, and then immediately after that happens, spider legs burst from her skull and lift her up off the ground while the lifeless corpse that used to be part of her body just dangles from her spider body now.
It's not necessarily that it's graphic, but it doesn't need to be. You can just imagine these horrible things happening. And for a game like Paper Mario, it's just completely terrifying.
I think it's really easy to draw a parallel between this scene and popular Japanese horror films of recent years, like The Ring and Grudge, just the way the head just keeps twisting until it's upside down and just like the shaking movements of the arms pulling out.
Of all the assassins you fight in the No More Heroes series, this has to be the freakiest of them all. And that's saying something, because there are a lot of freaky opponents in those games.
So Travis is totally right to be completely terrified at the beginning of the sequence because every single part of it is completely horrifying. You get chased by this big fat guy with a baby mask that's a lot like Pigsy from the Manhunt games. So we have gross nasty Pigsy in No More Heroes. Okay, great start.
And then after you like fight him, you stab him in the face, his head explodes, and then like a little kid appears out of nowhere.
Turns out he's actually a little boy who was dying in a fire, made a pact with the devil, came back to life, killed his parents, and now he haunts this mansion.
Pacts with the devil, killing your parents? Is that what these kids are up to today?
Just the kid staring at you covered in blood. First of all, fuck that. Then all he does is whisper to you, "I'm going to kill you." And then he raises a hammer to bash in your skull. Luckily somebody comes in and shoots him before you can do that. But what the hell, that is so messed up.
Kids and babies are the creepiest thing you could put in a video game, like, period.
Now, in the Japanese and PAL versions of the game, Lammy simply slips on a banana peel when she's running to get to a concert, dies right then and there on the spot, and goes to hell. But in the US version, they decided, you know, if she dies and goes to hell, we don't really want to say that in front of kids. So instead, she gets her belt caught on a doorknob, runs forward and snaps back like a cartoon physics. And for some reason, that causes her to go back through time.
So the funny thing about this scene getting censored is it's so much worse in the censored version. Like Lammy's version of hell isn't really that scary. It's just some weird psychedelic place just like everything else in the game. But because it's called hell, they needed to change it. But then they made it worse by adding all the weird, like, screechy rewind noises and the weird crap going on in the background.
There's this just weird, like, VHS-style rewinding of events with distorted noises and all this stuff that actually ends up being, like, creepier than if they just killed her.
Everyone's voice sounds totally distorted. Every scene looks just chilling with the VHS fuzz over it. It's really not something that should be in a rhythm game that's rated E for everyone.
So, you know, the game Drakengard makes you think of like, yeah, I'm fighting dragons or fighting with dragons to fight other dragons. You never expect something like this. Like, I certainly didn't when I had heard of the name of the game. Babies kind of just scare me in general, or some babies can. You know, babies know no boundaries or limits. They just take and take and take.
So showing someone this clip is the quickest way to make sure they never ever want to play Drakengard ever.
Why are there like 4,000 giant babies flying through the air, making totally normal baby sounds, and then descending upon a person to just rip her apart and eat her like little cannibals?
Basically, the gist is these giant babies called grotesqueries come down from the sky. They're huge. They're like the helicarrier in Avengers, but they're giant naked babies. And the party members are so distraught by this sight that one of them completely loses her mind and offers herself up as the greatest of feasts for these babies to dine on. And of course, them being very hungry babies, they just chow down on her. And the whole time they're giggling and cooing, as babies do. Oh, it's so scary that it's almost funny. But it's not funny, because they're giant babies eating human flesh. So those were our top 7 picks for the scariest moments in otherwise not very scary games. Are you freaked out? Because I know I am. If you know of any other great jump scares or freaky little bits in games that are otherwise not scary at all, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to read more great top 7s, go to gamesradar.com. As for this video, you should like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends if you want to freak them out. Now until next time, try not to have too many nightmares.